Welcome to Waterhead Church in Oldham, Greater Manchester. It's one of the older churches in this area and the very last church now remaining in Waterhead. This is the Reverend Patrick Reynolds, the first vicar of Waterhead. He came to Waterhead in 1845 and he left here in 1856. Incidentally, the science of photography was only 16 years old when Reynolds left for his new parish, so this photograph must have been one of the very first photographic images ever recorded in Oldham. Stated another way, Oldham must have been rich. And Oldham was rich. The relentless growth of the British Empire and its need for cotton fueled the growth of Oldham's cotton trade, and that trade needed workers. And the leading fathers of Oldham thought that people needed churches. The Great Reform Act of 1832 had already set in train the changes that helped fund a new minister for Waterhead village, then just outside the municipality of Oldham. Patrick Reynolds was that minister. Reynolds was a remarkable man. For example, he wrote 4,800 begging letters asking for funds to build a new church in Waterhead. The eventual cost of building the church was £3,780, 5 shillings and sixpence, which in today's money is nearly £4 million. The new church was designed by a young, up-and-coming architect based in Manchester, Edwin Hugh Shellard. This is his plan for the church. It was designed to accommodate 800 people. That number seems a bit far-fetched, but Shellard did incorporate a colossal gallery high up in the west end of the church. Building work had started within a mere 3 months of Reynolds arriving in Waterhead village. Even more amazing, the church was completed only 2 years later in 1847. It was dedicated to the Holy and Undivided Trinity and was consecrated on the 5th of July that year by the Bishop of Chester, John Bird Sumner. In fact, Waterhead Church was almost the last church consecrated by Sumner, because a few weeks later Parliament created the new Diocese of Manchester, and Sumner himself became Archbishop of Canterbury the following year. The new church was magnificent. Look at this old photograph. We can't date it exactly, but the wall around the graveyard suggests it cannot have been taken before 1862. Maybe it was taken to commemorate that wall's completion. Notice the way the church has no tower. In fact, none of Shellard's many churches was designed to have a tower. Shellard didn't like them. Waterhead's church tower was added much later, in 1876. This photo also shows the church had no organ chamber on the far right corner of this image. It's an urban myth the Victorians loved organs in church. Originally, musical accompaniment in Waterhead Church was provided by local people. Only later was singing accompanied by a tiny pedal organ, located in the big upper gallery. The church still possesses that pedal organ. Remarkably, it's still playable and more or less in tune. Finally, in this image, we see the chimney of the Waterhead National School peeping out from behind the church. The church itself built the school in 1852, and it was demolished in 1974 after many years of falling pupil numbers. Let's now look at the church interior. We know when this next image was obtained because an ancient pen has written the date on it for us. The photograph was taken in 1869. The image shows the church's full pulpit on the far left, near the font at the foot of the tall chancel arch. There's no carved wooden screen behind the altar. We call such a screen a reredos. And look at the pews in the foreground. They each have an ornate, intricate carved head. We call them poppy heads. It refers to their shape. The poppy heads at Waterhead were removed without permission as late as the 1960s. And see how there's no organ chamber to the right. Finally, there's no overhead lighting, not even gas. Everything would have been illuminated by candles. So, in all these ways, the church interior was very different from what we see today. Waterhead village outside Oldham now had its own parish church, and it's still here today for all the people of Oldham to enjoy, to worship in.